E mua ono whaatalofa atu i o paia ma mamalu mawalunga. I paia ma mamalu o tangata e ana nei whanua o loo ngale nue eile nei pokalame o Treasure Islands. Tangata na mua i Malae. Le tangata Parramatta le nei maile i tū malo o tangata Darek. O lātou tua a, ma lātou a inga, o loo no nofo ma tau sia nei whanua mai le amatanga e o le whaavavau. O le nei pokalame na whausia ma nisi o tangata mai le Atanu Pasifika o loo no nofo i Sydney, Australia. O le nei ngaluenga. O tala lava o tangata mai lona lava i loa i Mersina, ma tala o Mersina o loo teoina i le Powerhouse Museum. A whai o iaise upu po se tala wopa o i papa. Wha maangalo le nei au auna vai. Tātou te wha maruru atu o le a mātou wha soa i le ngana wha peritania. Ai usi mailo sila o le a mātou taumawhai atu. Alofa atu le lau leo tanoi. Talofa lava, pula penaka, kia ora, kia orana. Welcome to another episode of Treasure Islands. We're here at the Discovery Centre, here in Castle Hill, Sydney, Australia. There's 500,000 treasures. I believe that this is a loom for weaving. And you know, us Pacific Islanders, right in Melanesia, Micronesia, Polynesia, we just love weaving. We've got all types of weaving. But we're going to be focusing specifically today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mums and dads, and anyone who's into weaving, the beautiful islands of Kiribati. So follow us all the way to Kiribati. Talofa, kia ora, kia orana, pula venaka. Come, nam, Maori. Maori.
Right.
How do you actually say that? Let's get you to say it.
Kona Maori.
Kona Maori.
Referring to you, singular.
We're here at the Discovery Centre, Museum of Applied Arts and Science, and we're looking at the Pacific Collection. Today, in particular, we are looking at the Kiribati Collection, the material culture and the intangible culture, and we're going to have a little bit of a chit-chat.
My name is Bessie, and I'm from Kiribati. I'll let the others introduce themselves.
My name is May, and I'm also from Kiribati. I'm Lily, and I'm really excited to be part of this Kiribati.
Hi, I'm Liz. My name is Brietta. My name is Tiana.
My name is Kyle.
My name is Esther. My name is Ecclesia. And my name is Tiana.
Wow, you guys look amazing. I mean, like, let's just firstly start with the objects from the collection here at the Discovery Centre. What do you have in front of you?
All right, well, this is what we call teriri, which is basically skirt. Teriri ni maie, dancing skirt. Now, this is absolutely beautiful. I've not seen a Kiribati dancing skirt made so wonderfully. The resources or the materials used in making of this skirt is the coconut leaf, which is the palm leaf that is, and what they do, or what our old ladies, grandmothers, mothers and sisters would do is that they would separate or peel the coconut palm leaf. The smoother part is what is used for this. The rougher part of the layers get thrown away. So what they do next is they actually boil the leaf. Then they put it in the sun for as long as they can so that it keeps the white color, what we call white, when really it's not, it's like creamy. To maintain that color, it has to be completely dry. Then they put it together in order to fit the dancer or the performer. If you look at the way it's woven, it's very intricate. This takes a lot of skill to make sure that it's all in uniform, and it doesn't come off lightly as well. So it's very, very tight. To put this together, we use the coconut husk. We husk the coconuts from while they're green, put them in the sea, leave them there for about a week to soak them and make them soft. We then go back to the water after a week. We pound the coconut husk so that it spreads out. We dry them, then we make coconut strings out of that. So that's what they use for making the skirt. So this whole skirt is actually made out of coconut palm tree.
Is that for a girl or a guy?
This is for a girl, and
Yes.
this is, yeah, so it can be made for family member,
Yes.
a girl that's going to wear it for dancing. It can also be given to a visitor that is actually
Okay.
well respected within the community.
And that's used in performance
Yes,
only. It's not an everyday thing.
in the old days they used to.
All right.
They used to, but this is more special because of the way, the color.
Yes.
If it was to be used on a daily basis, the color is supposed to be black.
Excellent.
But that's years ago, right? Our
Yeah.
ancestors used that.
Yes. So do you think there's anybody making that today here in Sydney?
I don't think so,
Okay.
unfortunately, only because it's a little bit hard to get
Yes.
the proper
Proper
material
materials.
to use for this.
But in Kiribati, there's still people making this
Definitely,
quality.
yes, they still do, definitely,
Excellent.
definitely.
And I just noticed here, there's one here. Did you make this?
Well, that's a very special one. That was made by my mother. Now,
Yes.
that's not made from coconut palm leaf. It's actually made out of a type of grass similar to needle grass that's available here in Australia. Again, the grass is beaten up, as in pulped into, make it smooth and soft, and then it's dried up. Now, my mum made this when my daughter was 4 years old,
Okay.
and she kind of encouraged, it was a way of my mum encouraging my daughter to
Yes.
learn how to dance the cultural way. My daughter loved it.
Wow. So this one here, tell me. Let me just get this. Let's roll this out.
Right, let's open that.
Okay. You can tell me about it.
So this skirt is very similar. It's the same dancing skirt. It's
Yeah.
very similar principles
Yes.
to what Bess was just talking about with the first very light cream-coloured skirt.
Yeah.
So it's made from the young leaves of the coconut palm tree, and it's woven together. It's also woven on the coconut husk string
Yes.
that she described before.
Yep.
This skirt was actually made by my aunt, and it was specifically made for my wedding a few years ago.
Oh wow.
So traditionally speaking, these skirts are about 5 kilos, and
Yes.
they're very heavy, and it takes a great deal of skill to be able to dance properly with them.
Yeah.
And my aunt made this and a couple of other skirts for my wedding, and we performed some Kiribati dances. It felt very special to be able to wear it because I had a mixture of the white traditional wedding dress, and then I went and changed into this. And to be perfectly honest, I think people preferred this. I thought it was quite interesting how many people thought this was more beautiful.
Tiana, what do you have here?
So this is my HSC project that I did about 2 years ago. It's made out of bandana sleeves. It was originally just soaked, shaped
Yes.
in a corset.
Yep.
So at the moment it's a bit flat because it's been in a box, but I've used the technique of weaving to create that shape. And this is all organic, biodegradable. So
Awesome.
it has a lot to do with global warming. The fact that the water's obviously rising,
Yep.
people will have to move from Kiribati, like it won't be livable soon enough. And the idea of bringing those traditions overseas, like the fact that there will be probably, most likely, a bit of loss of culture So this whole thing is really like the importance of what that means to us, and the fact that global warming is such a big issue, and why we are like constantly pushing the idea of, you know, like biodegradable materials,
Yeah.
fossil fuels and all that kind of stuff, just because it essentially will affect not only the fact that we can't live on our land, but the cultural traditions we have.
Awesome. If you haven't seen it already, while we were talking about all of these treasures, look at that image up there. Can you tell us more about it?
Apart from just using them for fishing, they also use the canoes. We call it tewa, which I believe
Tewa.
it's called devaka in Polynesian language. And we use tewa for traveling inter-island. So we travel from one island to the other. And that can be very, it's a skill that you have to have when you're traveling by canoe. You have to have a look at the clouds, work your way with the clouds, with the birds, with everything that's floating in the ocean. If you see the birds closest to you, then you know land is not that far. If you see that the reflection from the lagoon of an island that you're heading to is reflecting back to the clouds and shows that it's green in color, because that's the color of the lagoon, you know land is ahead. So these vessels are very, very important for the Kiribati life, you know, from day to day.
Excellent. Speaking of vessels, there appears to be a vessel, a basket woven here, which is part of the Powerhouse collection here. So I'm just wondering, would you like to comment on this as well, Plessy?
Yeah, if we could, thank you.
Just hand
I
that
will
down.
send to your grandmother, and
Thank you
she'll
very
talk
much.
about this one.
This is, we call this tabane in our language, made from the end part of the coconut, the long coconut front. Because normally this is not a common weave.
Believe it or not, this was made then in 1899. So how many years ago was that? 1899.
I've lost
That's
count.
1900. That's over 121 years ago. So it makes sense that the weave was from back in the past, where it was very strong.
And it's amazing that it's lasted this
This one.
length of time.
We have an old saying in Samoa, "Tū mau whaawai ai sui whainga," the constitution stays the same, but the materials or the way you practice it changes.
So
These all look like a real traditional outfit, but we made it out of just
We have to
Very
we
quick.
are mat.
Yeah.
We mat.
And this here looks like a pandanus woven type of mat.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. This is our
And that's worn by boys or men.
Yes.
This is the girls' traditional or women's traditional outfit for dancing, but that one is different. The boys wear that a mat that's rolled out around their waist.
And
Okay.
Sorry, Leo, and just to add
Yeah.
more to what Mary has said, we've also compromised with this. This is supposed to be made out of human hair.
real hair.
So the hair
Yes.
is basically cut from a female relative's hair,
Yes.
head, and
Yes.
cut the hair short. So normally they grow their hair to
Yeah.
very
Okay.
long for that purpose. Not only for that purpose, but so when they have it short or cut short, they then plait it together, and then that's what the men of that family use. It's a sign of respect. I'm special. This is my grandma's hair around my waist.
Wow.
And the mat is also special because when the men dance, they slap. And when they slap, this makes a very big sound. Like really, really big sound. So you imagine a line or a group of men dancing together, and they do the dance and they slap the mat or hit the mat with their open palms. It just goes boom. And it makes you excited. Like we the women just want to go, woo, just go crazy with them. So
That's really amazing.
yeah, so it's a special one too, and that's also made by the grandmothers or the mums
Yes.
of the family of the boy or the male dancer.
Awesome. Awesome.
Can I also add something else?
Yes, of
Leo?
course.
With the shell
Yes.
and the black coconut
Shells.
belt,
The black belt.
Yeah.
That's coconut. but
That's
it's
coconut
dyed.
shells.
It's coconut.
Make into buttons, like
The-
similar to
right.
buttons.
The purpose of those
Yes.
is to weigh down the hips, because this particular style of skirt and
It's like-
costume is for a special dance that the hips moves only, and the legs, but not the upper body.
Oh.
So that weighs down the hips
Yes.
when you're dancing, and so it helps the girl to make those special movements without moving the rest of the upper body. Am I right in
That's
saying
correct. That's correct.
that? Yeah.
Before we go, we definitely know the importance as Pacific Islanders, as oceanic people, about the ocean rising and the climate change in the region and its effects, especially on the Kiribati. So I'm wanting to allow the group to have time to actually speak to our audience directly about their concerns.
Kiribati is 6 feet above sea level. Now, if you are to ask what's the highest point above that sea level, that 6 feet, it's actually the speed bump on the islands. Some of them are quite high, and it could be a foot higher. So I'm saying 7 feet above sea level, and that's including the speed bump. Now, in relation to the climate change, yes, there's a lot of erosion happening, and there's a lot of discussion around this, and it could be it's the main reason why we're affected is because of the pollution that's the first world countries are interjecting into the environment. But on the other hand, we also lack the know-how of how to deal with our own erosion that we cause ourselves by building causeways instead of bridges. In most cases, you see both sides of the island. You're driving on the island and you see this side and you see this side. So imagine if a big wave comes from the ocean, where are you going to run to? Nowhere.
So my biggest concern with climate change would have to be, in terms of like global warming, would have to be the fact that for starters, families are over there, like my family lives over there, so what would that mean for them in the future? Where would they go? And they're quite traditional, so of course they'd want to be there. That's their home, that's obviously where they're from. And I guess as more of the Kiribati community come overseas, already I can see it in myself, living in Australia is quite hard to practice those traditions. And if the whole Kiribati community are living elsewhere, what would that mean for our traditions and our culture? It would pretty much just be wiped out, essentially. You don't really tend to think about that kind of stuff unless you see it.
It would be good for us to come together to actually put some ideas forward about the material culture in the collection and about how our material culture has been affected by climate change. So I'm just putting it out there, and I really, really would like to thank you on behalf of the Museum of Applied Arts and Science and Information Culture Exchange for coming here today. Our doors are always open for ideas. So all the best, and thank you so, so much. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mums and dads. Why? Because Briata is going to be performing some traditional Kiribati performance. What kind of performance are you going to be doing, by the way?
I'm going to be performing a traditional hip dance.
Yeah. Today.